Welcome back. In this tutorial, we're still going over chapter 3, and we're starting the adding new function section, which is 3.5. Now, when adding new functions, um, first we look at what is a function. We've actually already started using the function, which is our main. This is our main function, and in our main function it's what our computer or compiler first goes to say, okay, this is the start of the program and we're going to do this, that, and the other. Now we can add our own functions now. In the previous tutorial we talked about the math functions. Those are predefined or built into C++, different types of functions. Now we can actually add functions that we can have do just about whatever we want to do. Now, as we've read on page 24, we have a function and it's read void name, then a list of parameters, and then we have a bracket just like our main here. It's a little slightly different, and then we have our statements inside. Now before we get started, we must know that our functions, our new functions that we add in, are outside of our main function. So the reason why we have this is because this allows our program not to be so bulky or heavy, especially if a function, an added function, is very long or we have many different functions that we call just in case something else happens. For example, I like to use the calculator. We have, and I'll just use the basic functions, the add, subtract, multiply, and divide. We can have a function for each one of those, and in this case we would ask the user which one would we want to do: add, divide, multiply, subtract, and it will call, and I say again, it will call the function that you want to use, and it will go to it, do whatever you need to do, add, subtract, multiply, divide, and then come back to the main function. And this right here saves space in our main function, and it saves space within the memory of the computer. So you're not calling all the different functions because you're not using them. Okay, so in this case, starting on page 25, it goes into a function that is called a void new line. And the reason why we have void, because void is a non-returning function. Void means we have nothing that's returning, so our brackets are going to be empty. Now in this case we have int main because we're returning a 0 in the sense, so we know that everything is correct. So let's give us a little space right here, and we have void new line. So let's have our brackets right there for a statement, and what we're going to do is just output just for a new line. And with our new line we just put NL. That is a L, not a 1. I must say that every now and then to make sure you understand that that is an L, not a 1. They look alike on the computer. So what the only thing that this would do, and the only thing this needs to do, is to enter one time. So that means it's going down from one line to the next line. That is it. It's that simple with this program. However, if we notice we have nothing inside, so we do not know what we're going to do right here, or the output of it. So let's actually put something in our main function to see that we call this void function and see how it's going to work. Now, for instance, in the book it has cout, and we got our first line. And as you notice, we're going to go down to a new line. Now let's have it for when we call our function up here, and we must put the parentheses. This is exactly as our name right here, which, let me pull this over a little bit and be touching. Now we're going to go, let's call it again. Cout, second line, and we have we already have it. We'll return 0. So let's just pull it up, clean it up a little bit. So what we have, or what we should have, we will have our first line, then we'll return to the second line. Then from this new line function we call, it will return it again. So we will have another line. Then we will print out second line. That will be on the third line. And then we'll have another space, and then we'll have the information to exit out where we need to be. So let's see it and make sure that this happens. Alright, this is our first time writing this program, so we're going to press F11, and let's see, we can call this adding underscore new underscore function .cpp. Alright, and everything works out correctly. As you see right here, we have our first line, and then it enters to the next one, and at the next one we have a new line, enters to the third line, and on the third line it says second line, and then it enters another line, and then we will have our information to actually exit the program or continue. So let's change it up a little bit, and let's what we're gonna do is create more calls to that function. I'm going to add it 2 more times, and we should have a longer break or longer position within the first line statement and the second line statement, this and this. So let's save it, and let's compile it and run it. As you see, we have a bigger space between there because we calling the function more times. So when I say call it, let me explain this. So the first thing that the computer does, and please know that the computer runs very, very fast, faster than the eye can see. So what we're going to do, what it's doing is it will print out first line, then it will go down to the second line. Then what it does is call to this new line function. So it goes up here, does the information that's in here, and then after it finishes, it goes back down to this next one. Then from here it says, oh, I want to call it again. It comes up here, do this information, come down, and it's calling it again, go up, do this information, come back down to the next line, then it prints out the second line, and we have inline right here, which does a new one. So we have seen how it works. Now let's see in another form how this can work as well. So for instance, let's actually take these out so can work. Again, let's create a new function called void 3line. And guess what we're going to do? In that line, we're actually going to call the new line function 3 times. Now, how I'm doing it, it's a little different from what your book says, but you can do it just like your book. It's no problem, just as long as you have the semicolons behind here. I will run it this way and then put it the way that the book has it to show you that these two are the same. Now let's actually put some coding in here. Let's take these out and put the line, and then we call it. Okay. Now if you notice with the functions that we're creating, we do not have semicolons right here. We do not have semicolons in the main function as well, but when we're calling it, we put a semicolon. So let's save it. Alright, and let's compile it, and there we go. It does the same thing. Now, in doing these, as you notice, I put the void 3line and called it right under this function right here, our first function. As I stated before, and I will state again, and it's just used in our definition in our book, definition and uses 3.6, that before you use something, you have to define it. So we used it right here, but we defined it right there. And before we can use it inside our main, we have to define it as well outside of our main. Now I said that I was going to shift these so they'll be right there on the same line. You can move along with me. I like to kind of tidy up some and not have as much space sometimes. Right now we're running small programs, so it doesn't matter. And we end up with the same thing. Okay, now in this case, you can your next step, what you can do is maybe put in something, information in there to do something. However, then sometimes we will have to take that void off to return something. So let's scroll down and use programs with multiple functions. Let's see. We have in section 3.7, one of the things it has when you look at a class definition that contains several functions, it is tempting to read it from top to bottom, but it's likely to be confusing because that is not the order of execution of the program. Sometimes the order of execution of the program, we have to look inside our main and see what order is being executed first, second, and third, and it's kind of like the order of operations. You'll see what you have to do. Execution always begins at the first statement of main, regardless of where it is in the program. So the first thing we have to do is look inside the main, as I said, to look at the program. Let's scroll down to section 3.8, parameters and arguments. Some of the built-in functions we have used have parameters, which are values that you provide to let the function do its job. For example, if you want to find the sign of a number, you have to indicate what that number is. Thus, sign takes a double value of a parameter, as we talked about earlier in the math functions. Some of the functions take more than one parameter, like the power, and that's something that I didn't use earlier, which I was trying to think of, but could not get to. The power, which takes two doubles, the base and the exponent. So you have the base of 2 raised to the power of 2. You'll have, and I give you a little example down here. If you notice, we can't write outside of the main function at the bottom. We can write on the top, but not the bottom. I'll give you an example, and remember, you'll have to use the CMath in order to use this. And it asks for a double x and a double y. So in this case, we'll say 3.0 comma 3.0. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So in this case, put a semicolon back there, we will have to make that equal to something, or you can say C out this statement right here, and you should get 27 or 27.0. You actually look that up and find that out. Alright, so let's continue on with our sections. We can actually have parameters in our information to get an argument back. So let's see, can we come up with an example? Just looking here, reading here. So let's take all this out. And let's only take this out, because we'll call this one more time just for kicks. Let's say we have a void print twice. See, I like this. We have a char, which we know is going to be a character value, and we're going to pass through the argument the value field. So let's put a little information in here, see what we get. We're going to see out field, and the value that passes through here is what we're actually going to get. So we have, matter of fact, let's spice it up a little bit, and instead of having our inline right there, let's go ahead and call this other function new line, and then let's see how that goes. We're always trying something new. Now inside our main here, we will need to call this function, and because we have a parameter that's we set for something to go through, we have a character, so we have to set it to send the character through. So let's call it print twice, and let's send the character of, and we use the single quotes, A. Alright, and we're going to enter our return 0. Now, before we run it, let's actually think about what's going to happen. All right, let's say we've always started at the main because that's where everything starts and happens from. We say we call this, and it's going to do everything inside here and then return back to the next line. So what it's going to do is it's going to pass that value because it's a character or char value through here into field. So we're going to see out the value that passes through here once, twice. Then it's going to go to call here. So it's going to jump up here. It's going to release the command to go up here. It's going to insert a new line up here. Then it's going to go back down here since there's nothing left. From here, it's going to go back here and then it's going to end. Okay, I know that's a lot, but just take a look at it and run through. It's just like going through your different hurdles in order to get to the last place. So let's save this. Oh, we have let's see. Oh, I did not put my semicolons right there, so let's resave that. That's okay. Now let's compile it. Now we have AA, and we came down a new line, and there we go. So in order to make it kind of look, to understand where we're going, we're gonna actually put a little something. This is the end of the program. All right, let's see. This is the end. Let's start at the beginning. Let's see out. See out. Remember, case sensitive, and I did not put my semicolon. All right, this is the beginning of the program. All right. So we're gonna have that. Now let's, on this one, enter a new line so we won't be messing up. And after this, what we're gonna do is see out to show that it ran all through all of them. Let's put, this is the print twice function, and let's clean this up a little bit. And we're gonna actually put something up here too. See out. This is the new line function. Alright, let's make sure, let's look at everything, make sure we have it. Runner. Okay, let's save it. And let's compile and run it. Now, we got everything jumbled up here. So we will look at it and then go back and fix it, and then we'll see where we're at. So this is the beginning of our program. That means the first thing we see is right here. The next thing that we look at, it comes up here, and actually let's move this up here. That way, anything that we do in front of it, it should go down to the next line. Alright, and then this is the print twice function, and this is the new line function, and this is the end of the program. So let's enter that, exit that, excuse me, save this. So we changed a little bit. pilot run it, it should come up and we have something still bumping heads together because I don't have a it's the beginning of the program. This is the twice. Okay, so what we're gonna do right here is put a new line right here. Like I said, sometimes it's trial and error. We have to look at it. Oops, we missed one. We make mistakes. And right here, okay, this right here is going to always be like that because what it's going to do is before it's calling this and it's going to say this before this, which we can actually put right here. We can insert that NL, the N line, and everything now should be actually be all on one line or all on different lines. There we go. So it took a little time. However, it's fun once you get your output. Alright, so as you notice, we have this is the beginning of the program, this is the end, all in the main. We have where it starts, this is the beginning of the program. The next thing that it does, this is the print twice function, and it gives us our arguments through our parameter of AA. We have the A, and then we call the new line, which goes up here, which will tell us this is a new line function. And what does it do? It enters into a new line. Okay, so we have that. You can look online and find other information like it, or continue with the rest of the different programs. You can try using all different types of arrangements and how you do it. And in a case, let's see, let's add a new one. We can have multiple arguments, which you see in section 310, and you will have some that has the information that comes into our main function, which will no longer be void. There will just actually be the numbers because you're actually going to get something that comes from here to enter into here, and you can read about that in your upcoming studies, or you can investigate it online, which I highly recommend. Okay, thank you for listening. Hope this did not bore you. This will help you. If you do have any questions, feel free to send me an email at amorris@talladega.edu. That's AMORRIS at talladega.edu. Thank you again.